Today's chapter is on Sigmund Freud. The year as we see is 1856 to 1939. Sigmund Freud gave the theory called psychoanalytic theory. Under this, he has divided it into three parts. This psychoanalytical theory is also called as psychology of human behavior, which I said is divided into three ways. Sigmund Freud emphasized on unconscious, and he said that determines human behavior. Other isn't dealt with conscious. He said bulk activity was at the unconscious level. The first division which he made under his psychoanalytic theory was structure of personality. He divided into two subsections, topographical model and the dynamic model. Under topographical model, he gave an idea of an iceberg. He said that is a field of mental activity. Like an example, he gave that iceberg. On the top is a conscious part, which is 1/8. The next is the subconscious part, which is, he said, it's like a twilight area. And the third is the unconscious, which is the dark area. The conscious is what we do every day and remember. Subconscious is which takes a little effort to remember. And the third is the unconscious, and he said this is a dark area and this decides our behavior. It's about 75% of the whole consciousness. Then he did the second subdivision, that is dynamic model. He said that has three forces: id, ego and superego. He said we are born with id. Id has no morals. It is a basic instinct we are born with. And he said therefore it is biologically conditioned. The second, he said, is ego. A part of it grows to ego. Even that doesn't have morals, but it has fear of death. So it will let it function when there is no danger. It is environmentally conditioned. And the third is superego. It's like a watchdog. Ego evolves to superego. It's culturally conditioned. So if you're culturally very strong, your superego will also be very strong. Sigmund Freud emphasized that ego has to be stronger than id and superego, so that a little bit of what you desire, that is the id factor, also is done, and also it's in check because of the superego. So he said the ego should be very, very balanced. The second division that he made was dynamics of personality. This dynamics of personality in turn has three levels. The first one is A, instinct. He said the interplay of ego and superego make up our personality. Under instinct, he said we all have life instinct as well as death instinct. Life instinct, he said, it's like sex, hunger, self-protection. So that comes under the life instinct. And under the death instinct, he said everybody has a hint of aggression, suicidal. So that comes under this. The next one, he said, was anxiety. When there is interaction of these three, that is id, ego and superego, there is anxiety, which in turn he divided into three: realistic anxiety, neurotic anxiety and moral anxiety. Under realistic anxiety, like for example, if there is a flood or a drought, and there is an instinct of self-protection, that is realistic anxiety. Neurotic anxiety is when there is a clash between id, ego and superego. The symptoms are palpitations, paralysis, anxiety, alert, ego, etc. The alert is that it is active and it is controlled too much. Okay. Now this dreams, they say, give ventilation to all our anxieties which it cannot perform. It can be given ventilation in the dreams, and therefore Sigmund Freud said and used dream analysis, as he said that there is a lot of catharsis that take place in dreams. Then the third one, which he divided into, is moral anxiety. He said that when id and superego sandwiches ego, id is not controlled. Id and superego sandwiches ego. At that time, there is moral anxiety. So here there is a clash. Here ego is completely sandwiched, and in fact he says that ego should be basically stronger. The third division that he makes is called as development of personality and fixation. It's also called as psychosexual development, that is the libido. In development, he looks at the channelizing of energy. Okay. He has divided this stage into oral stage, anal stage, phallic stage, latency stage and genital stage. Oral stage is divided into from 0 to 1 years. Under that he has given us two fixation, ORP and OAP. ORP is oral receptive personality and OAP is oral aggressive personality. This is when the child is fed and breastfeeding, and in ORP he gets a lot of feeding, and OAP, his feeding is abruptly stopped. Then there is the third one, of course, is a normal where there is no fixation. The anal stage is 1 to 3. This is the potty training stage. Again, that is ARP and AAP. Anal receptive personality and anal aggressive personality. ARP is where there is a strict timing given to the potty training, and AAP is where is haphazard. The phallic stage is between 3 to 6, where the sexual organs develop, and there he is given example of Oedipus complex, where the son is attracted to the mother, and Electra complex, where he talked about the father getting attracted to the daughter getting attracted to the father. So there is two anxieties, the castration anxiety and the seductive personality. So that he spoke about in 3 to 6 years, that fixation. If a child doesn't have any fixation here, then he moves on to the latency stage, 6 to 10 years, where you see that boys gang up with boys, girls gang up with girls, they are more into sports and they form groups, and it's a very healthy stage. And then the next stage is the genital stage, the puberty stage, which is the 11 onwards, and your mental personality is almost fixed now. If there are no fixation from these stages, then your mental progress is very good. If there is ORP, the child becomes gullible, smoker, dependent, overeating. If his OAP, it becomes abusive, sadistic. If there is ARP, then there is anal retentive personality. He is more punctual, autocratic, too systematic. If there is anal aggressive personality, then it is more haphazard. If there is Oedipus, then the person will be more boastful. And if it is Electra, then the person will be more seductive. So these are the stages which he gave. So as we see, it's 0 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 10, 11 onwards. So 0 to 10, it comes under infantile sexuality, which if done properly, you become a very good personality person. Otherwise, there can be fixations. So this was Sigmund Freud.